Hi guys, so happy Sunday. I just finished on Bat Country, Stu's page, and happy birthday, Stu. Hope you're doing well. He gave a shout out to my channel, so if anyone is wondering, it's the right guy. No, it was really good to be part of his first ever live video. I was delighted to be on that. Really positive, mostly apart from one nitwit in the comment section. Boogaloo, you know who you are. They also give a bit of hassle to Rick from Sober Start. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and kind of give you an update. I know I do a lot of updates. I haven't been doing an awful lot of content or, main big long videos like this, but I also get that if I make it too long, people won't want to watch it. So I don't want to ramble too much. I just want to kind of tell you what's been going on and also just kind of share with you how I've been feeling. Bit like a vegetable, to be honest. But also, I learned something which I think is important to share. So that's when you taper off Remeron, aka Mirtazapine. So it's meant to be one of the worst antidepressants to taper off, and that's why I want to come on and just keep sharing information. And Cynthia Wells, I know you definitely get something out of it. I was also delighted to hear from Mega Husky again. Sorry about your foot, but I hope you're doing better now. And yeah, always get in touch. Let me know you're getting on. Love hearing from people. So yeah, I'd been given 45 milligrams of it, of the Remeron, aka Mirtazapine. It didn't agree with me. So for exactly 56 days, I was basically cutting them in half and just taking 22.5. Um, I'm not a doctor, so I can't medically recommend that you do that. But unfortunately, what a lot of them do is they just keep upping and upping the dose, no matter what. They tend to go with the fact that you are the problem, not the medication. And you're gonna have to bear with me because one of the side effects is that I'm becoming quite forgetful, which apparently is something that happens as well. Been getting really bad headaches. Yeah, so that's something that I heard of and I'd been warned about, but I also tried to taper down to 15 milligram way too soon. So um, I've been on 50 milligrams now for probably over 2 weeks. Yeah, over 2 weeks. And I tried doing it previously to that, and I still had some of the 45 milligram tablets left. So what I did was I was feeling shit. I was feeling horrendous, and I don't recommend that you come off mirtazapine if you're feeling horrendous already because it's going to make you feel worse when you come off. You know, I went off it for 2 days. I tried 15 milligrams for 2 days. Felt horrendous and couldn't sleep, tossing and turning in the night. Got really bad headaches. Start getting real bad paranoia as well. And that makes it hard to leave the house when you're already struggling with your mental health. You don't need something else coming in and just bashing away. Adding extra fears on top of the pile. So I still had, I had about, yeah, I had about six. Yeah, six of the 45 milligram tablets. So broke them in half, carried on at the 22.5s for another 12 days. And that seemed to really do the job. So I carried on with that. And then since then, I have been on the 15 milligram. And I'm tapering off without too much sleep disturbance. I also started a new job in that time. Um, I was positioned in Gorey, so in the city centre. Well, not city centre, but the main street. Now I'm out by the sea, clean, basically tidy towns, so greenskeeping and cleaning up the beach. It's not glamorous work, but I'm left to my own devices to just get the job done. Nobody's yapping away, bothering me, so I'm happy enough doing that. It's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. No disrespect to anyone who does it, but didn't get myself a university degree for nothing. I'm actually looking at going back to university at the minute because I went to a jobs fair almost exactly a year ago, which is mad to say because it feels like time has stood still, but also like it's gone by really fast at the same time. It feels like the years have been dragging by, but also it's gone like that. So yeah, it's a weird one, but my goal is to be medication free this year. I don't want to be waiting around, because medications have had a very negative impact on me. Doctors do not tend to say anything about that. They tend to just keep on harping on with the same shit. No, no, it's not the medication, it's you. And then instead of actually saying this medication doesn't agree with you, we'll take that off. What they do instead is go, oh, you've got symptoms now of a new condition. Here's another medication. Instead of going, that could be caused by the medication. Perhaps we could lower the dose, not stop it altogether, but lower the dose. What they tend to do instead is they tend to go and say, oh, that drug didn't work. Here's another one. Swallow that pill. I feel like Chevy Chase doing that shit, with all the fake swatting the fly and putting it in your mouth. All that slapstick, crappy comedy. Leslie Nielsen was much better at it. I'm just saying. Yeah, not many people like Chevy Chase, and rightly so. But yeah, I was with the psychiatrist there only last week, or it's not the end of the week yet, it's still Sunday, but I was with her on Wednesday, and I'm not very hopeful when I go in to see her because she treats me like a simpleton, and I'm not being funny, like I was talking to her about potentially a new relationship happening, and she's like, "Oh, was it your first time? Treat me like I'm a fucking retard. I don't like using that word, but like it's my first time." And I was like, "No, it's not." I'm trying to actually open up to you and say stuff. Doctors don't give you that ground, where you feel comfortable sharing information. People like my family always say, "Why don't you share this information? Why don't you say it?" Because I don't feel comfortable saying it. They don't create that environment that makes me feel comfortable. It's head down, have a book now. So it's literally they get the pen and paper out and they're down, they're writing everything, making a list. Then they're scrolling through it like this, basically. I hope there's nothing personal in this, but and it's just a workout program, one of many. But they're going through a file like this, and let me know your experience. But it's literally right. I see you've started Mirtazapine, Reveron. How are you getting on with that? Oh, okay. And then it's just like, oh, right, well, okay, fine. We might try this medication then. There, I've sent your script down. Bye, see you, And then will I do the. And she just starts scribbling, and then it's there you go. Got to do the prescription handout. Yeah, there's nothing important on that anyway. Thank God. But it's not an environment where you feel comfortable sharing stuff. But they'll say to you, "Why didn't you say this sooner?" Because when I do, you don't do anything about it. You just tell me, "Oh, you have traits of this." Like I'm still waiting to hear back about borderline traits, emotionally unstable personality traits. That was just dished out to me, and then it's like, okay, off you go now. I got an assessment done in September, shortly after my granddad died, which messed me up. But the assessment was shit as well. Like it really wasn't thorough. It was I'll do another one. Pretend this is an iPad. Handed me that multiple choice questions on a fucking iPad. Mental health in Ireland is a joke. Might sound like first world problems and boo hoo and all, but it is a fucking joke. And the stats don't lie, you know, especially when it comes to young men. They're offing themselves in record numbers. So shove that one up your arse if you're going to use that one against me. People are not doing well, and there's a good reason for that. And I'm fed up. I don't feel good when I go to a doctor's now. I feel like I just have to go, or else I can't complain. And then so maybe one day I'll get some resolution, and at least I can say, well, I'm doing my bit. I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm going to the doctor's appointments. I'm still taking the medication, but I'm tapering off slowly. Um, but yeah, it's frustrating as fuck. My deepest sympathies to anyone who has been through this process because it's not easy. I've been doing this since I was a child, basically going into people telling me what you can't and won't do. They don't make me feel good about myself. One good thing that has come from it is that I've been set up with an addiction counsellor who has helped me a lot, Catherine. She's been great. And I'm now doing a different group, so an anxiety workshop, an anxiety management workshop, and I have binders. So this is like the homework that I have to do. Got another one there. Yeah, it's the official one. So there we are. There's some useful tools in there for sure. I personally am a big believer that there's always a reason you feel bad, and just because somebody else doesn't think it's a valid reason doesn't mean it's not. You know what I mean? Like somebody else might be able to deal with something better than you, but then not able to deal with another situation. It's all subjective, but we tend to go, "Oh, nobody else is bothered by this. You are. You must be the problem. You must have a chemical imbalance. Here's a fucking pill for that," which does not help. And I'm tired of taking them, and I'm tired of doctors telling me that I refuse the medication, citing it makes the what it makes it sound like is I'm making up these side effects, which I'm not. I'm failing them. My body is definitely feeling worse since being on these medications. And all I keep hearing is give it time, give it time. How fucking long do I have to give it? I was in with the GP after being on the medication for 6 months. That's right, 6 months, half a year. You just need to give it more time. And like, my life will be fucking over before I know it if I keep this shit up. If I just keep letting time take on, feeling terrible, and then when that medication doesn't work, you're gonna just give me another medication. It's not good enough, and a lot of people are struggling and they're not getting the proper health care they need and they're having to leave work. Like if anyone wants to call me lazy, I'm working in a job now where I'm picking up rope, string, crab catchers, lobster cages. You see all the shit that I've dragged up on the beach. I'm doing the donkey work, and I have done a lot of jobs like that. I've been a kitchen porter as well, washing dishes, you know, serving the general public, working on a fucking construction site, picking up cigarette butts and empty monster cans and pissy Snickers work where, I've done the worst jobs you can imagine. And I do think it's important to build character, but I also think you should have a goal in mind. And they don't seem to actually realize that I've done quite well, but I've been holding on by a fucking thread for very long, you know. And I want better for myself. Why shouldn't I be able to demand better for myself, having gotten a university degree? It's not my fault that a lot of companies do not provide adequate training. They should, but they don't. And that's not on me, that's on them. But this has just become the acceptable standard. And that throws me off a lot. It's just very frustrating. I finished propranolol there for 4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks. And so 28 days, 80 milligram. And it gave me really bad headaches, stomach problems. I told the psychiatrist I didn't want to take it anymore, that the anxiety group was helping. And also the fact that I'm not working with children anymore, which was definitely a stressor I didn't need. My heart rate has gone down. Thank God. Touch wood. Yeah, I'm still struggling. Like it's not easy every day. But taking the 22.5 milligrams of mirtazapine for the extra 12 days was a good idea. I felt like shit when I started trying to taper off. But I want to look at some of the withdrawal side effects. I'm going to share my screen with you now, and we'll go to. So here we are now. So when we say common as well, I will show you what that means. So withdrawal from mirtazapine or Remeron can lead to various symptoms, including dizziness, headaches, insomnia, anxiety, and flu-like symptoms, all of which I've gotten. Thankfully, the flu-like symptoms haven't been as severe this time, but I have definitely gotten them before. But here we go. Overview of withdrawal symptoms. When discontinuing mirtazapine, Remeron, individuals may experience a range of withdrawal symptoms due to the body's adjustment to the absence of the medication. So, AKA, what that's saying is because it's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, it's blocking the receptor, the serotonin receptor in your brain to create more free serotonin. And then another receptor takes up all that. That's why you feel suicidal. You might feel even worse in the early days of going on the medication because it's actually blocking all the serotonin getting taken up. That's the theory behind it, and you feel worse. I have a theory that you don't actually feel better on this drug. It makes you feel worse, and then it evens itself out, and you feel nothing. And a lot of people have said that. I struggle to find anyone really who has anything positive to say about these medications. But common symptoms include dizziness, which I've been getting a lot of. Many individuals report feeling dizzy or experiencing vertigo, especially during the initial weeks of withdrawal. So vertigo is more than just dizziness; it's lack of balance. You're falling all over the place. I play five-a-side football, and I found it incredibly difficult some weeks to twist my body to go to the ball. So if anyone knows soccer, football, that kind of football, the one that you play with your feet. Sorry, my American friends. Sorry. We'll just say soccer because we've Gaelic football in Ireland too, so we'll avoid the confusion. But soccer is a game all about balance. You have to kick the ball while balancing on one foot, and sometimes the ball will go past me, and it'll take me a bit too long to register the ball's gone past, and I'm going like, oh fuck. Still averaging 5 goals a game though, so and I'll be playing with the over 35s because the pricks think I look 35 already. Not the first time I've heard it, in fairness, but yeah, it's something to watch out for, and I've definitely gotten that. And I'll probably have more to look forward to because I plan on going down to 7.5. I don't plan on going to 15 and stopping completely. I recommend you cut down in 7.5 intervals, gradually taper off because this drug in particular is very hard on the body and the mind. When you're withdrawing from it. And I've heard that from several people. Joseph Wittering, board certified psychiatrist at the Taper Clinic. And check out his channel again. And I've already put a link to it before, but if you check his stuff out, he's medically trained and actually tells people how to do it the right way. But yeah, vertigo and the lack of balance. I mean, I know it's more than that. Some people have to walk with a cane because it gets so bad, but you can do your own research into vertigo. It's not easy to live with. Headaches. Actually, before I get onto that, I've got an even better example. I was cycling my bike the other day, and I'm cycling it, a few days of the week, and I noticed that I got really anxious because I was trying to stay in away from the traffic so the traffic would go around me, But I was losing my balance. I couldn't stay straight and cycle the thing, the bike that is. I kept veering in and out, and I was there thinking, fuck, I thought there was less space to my left because we drive on the left in Ireland, and that means the oncoming traffic is coming from my right side. But I kept thinking that I didn't have enough space on the left side, so I kept veering out in the middle of the traffic, and it's just worrying. I started getting really paranoid I was going to be hit and that I didn't have enough room, and it's definitely fucked my balance. Let's put it that way. It's not been very pleasant. You feel like you're going to crash constantly because you're veering in and out. And I do enjoy cycling, and that's the thing that I've said is that if I'm not able to exercise, I will get miserable. I have to be able to exercise. Most of us do, to be fair. And if we can't do it, we will naturally be more depressed, But we get on the headaches anyway, because I'd be here all night talking about this. So withdrawal can lead. We go into this website. Yeah, let's go into this website and see IC Health. Let's have a look. No, sorry. I don't want you taking my data. Probably already have it anyway. Yeah, so mirtazapine, commonly known under the trade name Remeron, is medically used for treating depression and other anxiety disorders. Consumed orally, the drug balances mood and makes people comfortable. No, it doesn't. You say it does, but it doesn't. So, under any circumstance, you should not stop taking this medicine without the consultation of your doctor. Continue the intake according to the instructions provided by your doctor. This drug has side effects as well. Understand your body and be alert enough to recognize any negative impacts it has on your body. Hello, I've done that. You know what? They wanted to put me on a different drug to counteract that one. Funny that. There are a lot of things to consider before you start taking this antidepressant. If you have any underlying health conditions, be sure to share them with your doctor. All right. I have, and they just put me on other drugs. So they put me on clonidine cataprase, which another doctor then told me I shouldn't be taking because mirtazapine blocks, like actually blocks the blood pressure lowering effect of clonidine. So clonidine cataprase is used to treat people with hypertension, which I had and was definitely exacerbated by the drugs that I'm on, mirtazapine. I was also given what's it called, Provigil. So Monafidil or some other weird name, but Provigil is the name I know by, and it's a mild stimulant, and it definitely helps me in the mornings because the mirtazapine has knocked my energy. I was actually losing weight, and I've talked about this a lot, but I was losing weight before going on mirtazapine, and I ended up having to do more exercise, but it just slowly withered down, and I ended up gaining weight because I was just too tired, couldn't do anything else. And some medications can interact with mirtazapine and lead to serotonin syndrome, so be aware of that. So we go into this. Quick discontinuation of the drug can create intense withdrawal symptoms. That's why, yeah. So it says it here. Therefore, it is recommended to lower the dose and then slowly quit the intake, which is what I'm doing. The withdrawal symptoms may last for a few weeks, unfortunately. And as you get older, time is more precious. I don't want to sound too philosophical and miserable here, but I'm 27. I've been on 4 different medications like this, and they have made me worse in a lot of ways. They've made me more anxious. They've made me more depressed. They've also given me eating disorders, made food digestion very difficult. Like, they don't come with no nasty side effects, as far as I can see. They've got a lot of really nasty side effects, and they're just doled out by doctors like sweets. They're listing your symptoms. Like, they literally, when I get my pen and paper out again, doctor was literally like, oh yes, feelings of hopelessness, despair, eating too much or too little. And I'm kind of like, I haven't even finished talking. Let me finish speaking before you start fucking listing all my symptoms. And then the answer is, I'm putting you back on the Prozac. Well, it didn't work for me. Oh, well, then I'm trying sertraline and Zoloft. It's just their go-to, and it's not good enough, but that's all they're trying to do, it seems. So give your body time to adapt to life without antidepressant medication like mirtazapine. Reduce the dosage and detox. The duration of your detox program can vary according to your dosage. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm doing is I'm giving myself small little detoxes. So I was on the 22.5 milligrams of mirtazapine for 56 days. Yeah, so there was 28 tablets. So I was on them, breaking them in half. 28 times 2 is 56. So I was going down. That's nearly 2 months, which I think is a lot of time to be on them. And it's definitely worked. I came off too soon, got a lesson, So, yeah, 12 minus 50, sorry, 56 minus 12, 44 days I had done on 22.5. And then for 2 days, I tried the 15 milligram. Felt like shit. So I would recommend, from my own experience, that you go at least 2 months on the dose that you're on and then cut down by 7.5 milligrams. That's 7.5. Just because it's small, incremental changes. And again, looking at Joseph Witt-Doerring and what he was saying about it, and he's way more qualified than I am to talk about it, but he was saying that it has a very short half-life, so it's out of your system quicker, and your body craves it. I was thinking before, well, surely wouldn't drugs that have a longer half-life, they'd stay in your system and have more of a negative impact, but no, how it works is your body adapts to this drug because you're taking it every night, every day. Well, I take it at night personally, but it helps me, or sometimes it helps me sleep, sometimes not. Have weird dreams as well, by the way. But sometimes what happens is when you take a drug that has a very short half life, your body's used to getting constant supply of it. in your mouth, and then when you stop taking it, it leaves your system much faster, so it's gone much faster, and your body's crying out for it. That's why you start getting the really bad withdrawals, which actually makes a lot of sense. And that's why, because it has such a short half life. So going down in 15 milligrams, probably too much. I would say do it in 7.5, because you can just break it in half instead of cutting the thing into quarters. That's just too messy. Even breaking it in half is messy, but you can actually snap them with your hands. You don't need a knife. So only do what you can do with your hands. Otherwise, you'll find that you end up getting the wrong amount. It's already very inaccurate what I'm doing because it could be more than 7.5. Do you know what I mean? So I'm getting 30 milligram tablets, and I'm hoping that when I break them in half, it's 30 milligrams, and then it's 15 on each side. So when I snap 15 on this side, 15 milligrams on that side. But this could be 15.7, this could be 14.3. I don't know exactly what I'm getting, you know what I mean? But I'm just hoping and praying. And I'm not going to recommend it because I'm not a doctor, but for me, it's been the best way of doing it. And having that little scare that, okay, 44 days wasn't long enough, start taking the 22.5 again for 12 days, and then start withdrawing, or not withdrawing, um, tapering off. That's what I'm looking for. You don't want to do it too soon. Be patient. I know you've already probably been very patient. Believe me, I know. This requires a lot of patience, and I completely empathize because it's taken all the patience I have. You'd want the patience of a saint, as my mother would say. But yeah, we get the headaches. So mirtazapine withdrawal can lead to headaches. The pain can progress and may even lead to relapse in the form of depression. Lovely. This can last for weeks after the discontinuation of the drug. I also have been cutting down on fizzy drinks. So sugar withdrawals are not like heroin withdrawals. Let's not compare the two like that. But definitely with caffeine as well. I've tried drinking less caffeine. So I have a lot of decaf coffee. Don't give up too many things at once. I've already done really well on alcohol. In fact, on the 7th of March this month, which is only 6 days, yeah, 6 days, I'll be 8 months, 8 months sober. So 2/3 of a year. Pretty good, guys. Which is something I'm definitely going to celebrate without alcohol. But I've given up that then fizzy drinks, but I have to admit I had 2 cans of Coke last night, and I'll probably have another one tonight because the headaches were getting really bad. I had the 2 cans of Coke. It helped me a lot. It actually stopped the headaches. So I would say if you are cutting down on fizzy drinks and junk food, well for you, well done. But try to eat healthily and allow yourself to have a few treats. Don't be too hard on yourself because this stuff takes it out of you. You're already going through enough. And if you need coffee, have coffee. I've about usually have about 3 cups of coffee a day. I've tried having only two, but some days I feel the need to have more, so I'll have 3 cups, and I'll try and keep it at that. I used to have 5 or 6 cups of coffee, which is way too much. But yeah, the headaches got really bad, and I hadn't had fizzy drinks in like 3 weeks, maybe a little over that. So I decided to allow myself to have some Coke, 2 cans of Coke. And definitely helped. Insomnia, yeah, I got that as well. Even like you're tired, but you just can't drift off. You may find it hard to sleep once you've stopped consuming the drug. Sleeplessness is also a mirtazapine withdrawal symptom. How delightful. Being on the drug as well can mess up your sleep. I must say, when I started taking mirtazapine, I slept like a baby. I slept for about 14 hours and I was gone. But the longer I've been on it, the worse my sleep has gotten. It just kind of evens itself out, and yeah, ended up being up all night, tossing and turning, and looking like this poor lady here. You don't pack the sheets. It changes. Yeah. So this is actually on the list of antidepressants that causes the most weight gain. I had lost 3.4 kilos in 3 months. I was doing very well on the weight loss journey. That evened out, and then I started gaining weight again. Now, since cutting down to 15 milligrams of mirtazapine and doing football, cycling to work as well, I've been cycling a lot. You see that I walk Alfie a lot as well. Some days I don't feel like cycling because my balance, it was actually freaking me out because I was afraid I was going to fall off the bike. Didn't help that I would cycle at night as well. I actually enjoy cycling at night because there's less people out, it's just calmer and more peaceful when you're not falling all over the place. But yeah, I don't recommend cycling at night, especially not if you're withdrawing from mirtazapine. But yeah, withdrawal symptoms include changes in eating patterns. A decrease in appetite is common among withdrawal symptoms in mirtazapine. So yeah, my eating habits have never been great, to be honest with you. And I also have to take that into account that I have autism, and textures can be tricky for me. Breakfast has never been an easy meal for me. I've always been quite a slow eater, but I eat a lot, So it takes me a while to eat breakfast, but then I feel stuffed. And then, like, say, an hour later, I'll feel ravenous. I feel absolutely stuffed that I'm almost sick and I can't eat anything. But then I could go about 4 hours without eating anything because I feel so stuffed. And then, like that, the hunger just hits and I'm starving. And when you're starving, you'll eat shite food. You eat the worst kind of food, the highly palatable carbs, as they call them, stuff that tastes really nice. And there's a reason why, because they want it to be addictive, the food companies. And this drug can really cause bad eating habits. You know, when I've been getting a lot of cravings for very sweet food, and like caramel eggs. My brother got some in the shop, and I keep eating them on him. Just feel really hungry, and I enjoy the taste. The sweet taste is delicious. But yeah, watch that, especially if you're someone like me who's prone to it anyway. So then you have restlessness, and this is another common symptom. And stopping mirtazapine can create restlessness. One may move any part of their body unintentionally in a continuous movement. This often leads to stress and possibly self harm. So my family have been saying to me lately that I've been very agitated, fidgeting and really tense, and it's true. I've just been extremely anxious and pissed off, irritable, and it's nice to know that this is another symptom of this drug. Where I've just been more annoyed and feeling like, should I have an argument with this person or that person? Just getting very easily agitated, and then getting overwhelmed with emotion where I just want to stay indoors and not leave the house because I'm just so uncomfortable in my own skin. And definitely feels like this sometimes, where you want to just start hacking at yourself because at least it's physical pain and that there's a reason for it. Just uneasy in yourself. That's what I would say with this one. And then we get to vertigo again. A person who is undergoing mirtazapine withdrawal often has vertigo or false sensations regarding movements. The sensation of spinning and swaying result in vomiting, sweating, and other difficulties. So I felt sick today, and I have felt sick a couple of nights after football as well. I feel like the food that I eat isn't settling in my stomach even hours after I've eaten it, and I feel really uncomfortable and have to hop in goal for a second, swaying back and forth. I've also had, like, I know this happens to people anyway, but it's happened a lot more common, when you're sitting in bed and all of a sudden you think you're falling, like you're like, oh, fuck, and you jump up. Hope I didn't scare anyone there. But it's like that prehistoric feeling when we were apes and we used to sleep in trees and we were afraid of falling out. And that's apparently what it is. But I've been getting that a lot lately, which is a false sensation. I've been getting spooked very easily by nothing. There's nothing there and I'm not falling, but I feel like I'm falling and I get really jumpy, or I see a shadow behind me and I'm like, oh, what's that? And there's nothing there. So, yeah, let's see now. Is there a definition for vertigo? But a false sensation, yeah. Sometimes I even felt like someone's touching me when nothing's happening. Tactile hallucinations. Hope not. How long should I exercise in the chair with Tai Chi to reduce my cortisol belly at my age? Have you been getting all these Tai Chi? I'm 65 years old. I do 5 minutes of Tai Chi every day. And it's the most AI looking yoke you've ever seen. Here's another lovely side effect, which we all love, anxiety. If we didn't have enough anxiety, anxiety is very evident when people stop taking Remeron. No shit, Sherlock. It leads to stress, inner chaos, worry, and overreaction. The anxiety can persist for several weeks. Good thing I'm in the anxiety workshop because, yeah, it has been getting worse, and I've been getting very anxious and worried, paranoid, and that's why these medications are not good for you. Because if it was doing nothing but good, I would keep taking it. It's been doing bad for me. That's why I've decided to stop taking it. I didn't want to take it in the first place. This is actually the longest period I've gone on a antidepressant medication sober as well. So nobody can say that I'm not doing my bit, and I'm not doing it right. I'm doing it well. I'm still getting outdoors. I'm still exercising, and I feel like I'm regressing, not progressing. I'm getting muscle pains and aches, which is another side effect of taking the medication, not withdrawing from it. They might mention it here, but I want to live a fucking life. you know, my quality of life is not very good right now for a person my age, and I feel like it could be with a minor change. Like even getting up for a job at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 a.m. and cycling in, and then going home. My hours are going to be longer if I get back to full time employment. Like I'm working 3 or 4 days a week now, but I want to get back to full time and find something I like. As I say, I'm thinking of going back to university because I can apply to do a free course part time with the scheme that I'm in. And it'll be a level 9. That's right, 9. I already have a level 8, so I could go back part time and do that. So I think that'll be more beneficial for me long term. And when I was at that jobs fair, they say jobs fair, with no fucking jobs going at Grad Ireland in, jeez, where was it now? The RDS. My brain fog is terrible. It was in the RDS, yeah, in Ballsbridge, and it was shit. There was no jobs going. Even the fella that I was meeting to get a job said, "Yeah, it's quite bad for recruitment this year." And I was like, "If you're saying it must be bad," and he just laughed. And he said, "Yeah, sorry, but it's just not very good right now." But yeah, that's it. This does not look nice. This is making me feel kind of uneasy, but get to one here, mania. So you think bipolar, but you don't have to be bipolar to have mania. There's another good video on Joseph Witt-Doerring of the Taper Clinic, where he talks to a fella from Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, and yeah, he was talking about Paxil. He was taking Paxil, and he said it messed him up. And when he told the doctors it messed him up, he ended up having a manic episode, and then they put him on Seroquel, which is an antipsychotic drug, and it just fucked him up. And there's a good story on it. It was a really interesting one, and I recommend you give it a watch. He also went there and does a lot of good interviews with people who had horror stories of withdrawal from medication. This guy ran his own business, then he ended up getting really anxious, had a really toxic customer, and became agoraphobic at one point. So he was anxious, but he said if he can get a hold of the anxiety, he'll be all right. But they wouldn't listen to him and just kept on pushing this medication on him. But the mania, a person may have a lot of behavioral disorders as a part of mirtazapine withdrawal. They may show too much energy and react unexpectedly or around, sorry, they may show too much energy and react unexpectedly or aroused manner. Okay, it's badly worded, but react in an unexpectedly or an aroused manner. They will have euphoric sensations, racing thoughts are also experienced by a person who stopped taking Remeron, mirtazapine. And for someone who already ruminates and overthinks, that's really great, isn't it? I'm already a big overthinker, and now you're giving me these drugs, which leads to panic attacks. Intense fear and uncomfortable feelings are associated with Remeron withdrawal. Withdrawal symptoms can create heart palpitations, yes, chest pains, yes, and uneasiness in breathing, yes, which are a sign of a panic attack. And I talked about that when I was in Insomnia in Gori, my favourite cafe, and I thought the people were talking about me. And I just couldn't go over to them. I had to really push myself to do it. The fear just kicked in of, oh, what if this happens and what if that happens? It's paralysis. That's what this is, the panic attack. It's paralysis. You can't do anything. Your body's just hijacked. This situation is too dangerous. Remove yourself from it. You know what I mean? And Remeron, mirtazapine, has not made it easier. It's made it worse. I feel less capable of doing stuff. Get to fatigue. We're nearly at the end now. For several weeks after mirtazapine withdrawal, a person may feel fatigued and low in energy. It can cause drowsiness. With the lowering of mirtazapine dosage, a person may be unproductive and stressed. Yes, a lot more unproductive and a lot more stressed, which you're not doing as much, but you're also much more easily stressed, so you can't do as much. And I don't want to be like that. I'm 27 now. I'm a young man. I shouldn't be like this, and I don't want to be anymore. I'm sick of it. You know, there have been a lot of challenges in my life, and I've battled through them. And I don't feel like these drugs do me any good. Like when I think about last year, how I was, yeah, I still wasn't doing 100% great, but and I was drinking, but I had stuff going on. I was outgoing, I was motivated. I still had lust for life, and that's completely gone right now. I don't see a future. I don't see a way forward, and I think that's largely in part to the medication that I'm on. And it's going to sound a bit conspiracy theory, but having watched Taper Clinic and Joseph with their what he says constantly is that doctors just keep open and open and open the dose of your antidepressant till bang, you reach the highest possible dose, and then when that stops working, because when it stops working at one dose, they'll up it to another, then they'll up it when that dose stops working, then when that dose stops working, and then eventually when they can't go any higher, what they'll do is they'll give you an antipsychotic. And it sounds very conspiracy theory, but that's exactly what they did with my brother, my own flesh and blood, and that fucked him up. That made him worse. He was like a vegetable. He gained a shitload of weight, and that's not what I want. I was very concerned about him at that stage. He was so tired. He was sleeping a lot. Most of the day, he'd be asleep, and he would eat a hell of a lot of food as well. So it does sound conspiracy theory, but then you see it happening. And that's exactly what they've tried doing with me. They've tried getting me on another drug to counteract the one that I'm on and open the dose. And that's not what I want. And then sleeping tablets. As soon as I say that I'm not sleeping well, oh, sleeping tablets. No, I'm not fucking taking another fucking medication. I'll never stop and I'll be dependent on them. Depression. Great. So the antidepressant causes depression. How wonderful. Mirtazapine withdrawal symptoms include depression or relapse in your condition. It can continue for several weeks. Self-esteem issues, low mood, pain, which I've been getting, muscle pain, much easier. My right hand, I threw a football yesterday and I got really bad pain in my right hand. And I'm not someone who has never lifted anything before or done any exercise, so it shouldn't be happening. And it's quite disheartening when it does, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's pain, hallucinations, seeing and hearing things that aren't there. And suicidal thoughts are all experienced by people who discontinue the intake of this drug. So, not little things at all. These are side effects of mirtazapine. So, when you are taking it, not these aren't withdrawals. So, mirtazapine has several side effects: dizziness, Increased appetite and sedations are some of them. These are not of high risk. The side effects of coming off mirtazapine during the initial stages of usage may make you feel restless and irritable. Sometimes this drug can affect your decision making, thinking process, and reactions. Therefore, you shouldn't do tasks like driving as it needs a lot of focus. And that's something I started doing again as well. Driving, I did that, and I got pretty good at it. My progress has been halted a lot because of this drug. I'm not as sharp making decisions. My decision making is slowed down a lot, and that really pissed me off because driving is something I feared doing for a long, long time. So to actually get behind the wheel and drive and enjoy doing it, I really enjoyed doing it, and I had to stop. I took big gaps because I was exhausted and I couldn't think fast enough. I'd be told to take the third exit on a roundabout. I gather that Americans don't have roundabouts. You can let me know, Greg, Cynthia, Julie, anyone in the audience that's American, please let me know. But yeah, roundabouts are basically like where you turn off a junction. So circular shaped cars come onto them at a junction and they take the first, second, third, or fourth exit, depending on where you want to go. And my instructor would say, take the second exit. I would go, oh, wait, which one did he say second? Then I would take the third exit. So I put the right indicator on, go around that one, and then put the left one on and take the wrong one. That'd be a fail if I do my actual test. So it's very worrying. And it's something that I was making good progress in. And I've kept a lot of the skills. They say you never forget. It's like riding a bike, but as I've said, I've struggled with that too. Nearly fell off the fucking bike. So these are very real things, and your progress in life is altered by these medications. When in reality, maybe what you need is some compassion and understanding, a bit of fucking help, and maybe job places need like job places, the workplace. Different companies need to start actually giving you the proper training. Like for me, it throws me off a lot when someone tells me you're getting this amount of training, and like if you get this amount and you only have to like you train for 6 months and I end up only getting this amount and I've only trained for 2 weeks, which is actually what happened. That fucks me up because then I'm anxious. I'm an anxious person and I worry that I haven't been given enough. And then when my suspicions are confirmed, I get even more anxious. Weight gain, dry mouth, which I have right now, which is why I keep having to drink so many liquids. Drowsiness and constipation are all some side effects of this antidepressant. I've had the opposite problem, not constipation, so the other one, which I won't go into any more detail about, I promise. Mild sensations will go away within days. Nope, didn't really. Been getting these vision problems, yeah. There are some serious life threatening after effects too. Vision problems, like I've been getting really dizzy, getting tunnel vision, so it's like everything's blurred around me. It's why I haven't been making as many videos because I've been dizzy, I've been anxious, I've been fatigued. So, right down here, we mention it. Yeah, it's worrying. I haven't had the energy to make videos, and where I was motivated before to come and make a video, I'm simply not getting that motivation. So I'm hoping it will come back when I stop this medication altogether. Please God, fingers crossed, touch wood. So vision problems, serotonin syndrome, and infections are some of them that you can expect after taking mirtazapine. Infections, so lovely, great, wonderful. I've been getting this rash all along here. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's only started happening since I started taking this medication and didn't have it before. Sometimes with the cold water swimming it would get bad, but it went away. It's been staying around this time. So suicidal thoughts, yeah, I've been getting a few of them quite often actually over the last few weeks. Thankfully, no self harming. Panic attacks, yes, as I spoke about. Fatigue, yes, just having no energy to do anything. But as you've seen, I've still gotten out for my swims and my walks, but I'm fighting a losing battle. I'm pushing, but my energy is down here and it just keeps dropping and dropping the more I push. Something's got to give. Insomnia, headache, yes, really painful migraines like in the corner of my eyes, anxiety, seizures. I've been getting a lot of muscle spasms and twitches, like not like that, but I have been getting spasms already. Seizures, allergies, been sneezing a lot. Don't know if that's it. Only a lot of sneezing, but it's not the worst. Been getting quite a tight feeling in my throat sometimes where I feel like my airways are closing up, but it usually, thank God, doesn't last very long. Mania at times, yeah, quite hyper and energetic, but not to a dangerous point, I wouldn't say. And low immunity, yeah, been feeling sick a lot more easily fatigued as well, and just feeling run down like I've a cold or a flu, getting a runny nose and feeling like I need my bed all day, which is definitely what's been happening. Your immune system, great. So it's fucking up your immunity as well. Wonderful. Are also the after effects of using Remeron antidepressants. This is a safe medication if you use it properly. Is it? Your body may react to discontinuation of this drug dangerously. Antidepressants should be used carefully and under proper guidance by a professional. Substance abuse and overdose have a fatal impact. In such conditions, seek medical advice and professional support. Right, so a bit of advice on how to manage mirtazapine withdrawal. I think we will have a look because I think it's important. Don't just take my word for it. Let's have a look at what they say. Pardon me. Lowering the dosage is much better than tapering off the drug rapidly. Agree, 100% agree. And I've been doing that. If I just stop taking it, I can only imagine how horrendous I'd feel. They call it white knuckling. I've got white knuckles. What it means basically is where you just stop and you live with the side effects. So it's horrendous, but you just live with it. You know what I mean? So say if I were on 45 milligrams, I just stop taking that. And now, sister, I can be quite camp sometimes, can't I? Wearing my quality t-shirt. Love this t-shirt, though. It's a really good one. But yeah, I completely agree with them here. If you're going to stop taking it, 7.5 incremental lowering the dose. Don't just stop altogether because that'll mess you up big time. It's not good to just stop it completely because what happens then is, like I say, it's a short half life. It's going from your system really quick. So then your body's crying out for more. And that's when you start getting the really bad withdrawal effects. So if you taper off gradually, 2 months, I would give it, that's right, 2 months for each lowering. So what I mean by that is 2 months at 30 milligrams, then 2 months on 22.5 milligrams, 2 months on 15, and then 2 months on 7.5, and then 2 months on 7.5, and then nothing. That's what I plan on doing. So the 2 month period seems to be the best. So I'm keeping a close eye on that now. If you feel shit, do it for longer. Definitely do it for longer if you feel bad. Don't just stop doing it because I said so at that time. Stop. But then if you feel like you're going to really be fucked up after, you feel like the insomnia is coming on, maybe go back up for a few more weeks and then cut down again, and you might feel better for it. Definitely worked for me. Just saying. So lowering the dose is much better than tapering off the drug rapidly. You can check how your body responds when the dosage is reduced. Yeah, and I've been noticing and really keeping an eye on it. This will also reduce Remeron withdrawal symptoms 100%. So as I was saying, I stopped taking the 22.5 milligrams of mirtazapine after 44 days. Felt like shit, but still had a few of the tablets left. Tried 15 milligram for 2 days, felt terrible. So I upped the dose again to 22.5, did that for 12 days, and I felt fine after. Not fine, but much better than I felt before. Remeron is a medication that increases serotonin levels in the brain. When you stop the intake of antidepressants, the levels can lower and result in withdrawal symptoms. So, yeah, like I was saying, creates more free serotonin floating around in the noggin. And when you remove it, that means there's less floating about, but also that block on your serotonin receptor is removed, so that receptor is now reuptaken again. That's the theory anyway. Um, so when you stop the intake of antidepressants, the levels of serotonin in your brain can lower, result in withdrawal symptoms because hormones are powerful things. Therefore, give adequate time for your body to prepare before tapering off the drug. Yeah, exactly. Have a plan of what you're going to do before you do it. And if you notice that you're feeling crappy, change up your plan. You can always change it. You don't have to stick with the same plan. If you feel like shit, change what you're doing. So the mirtazapine withdrawal timeline varies with each individual, of course. Only natural, given that we're all perfectly unique, perfectly imperfect. If he's singing, don't know if you can hear him in the background. He's going for the howl. He's a great singer, isn't he? Can you hear him? What a beaut. Anyway, tapering and detox can be a long-term process for individuals taking 45 milligrams of mirtazapine and Remeron. That's exactly my fear. So I was given the 45 milligram tablets. I never started actually taking them. I was like, I'm not taking any more of this shit. I'm sick of it already. Alfie's really going for it out there, but yeah, I was there thinking 45 milligrams of mirtazapine was too much, so I'm not taking it. I thought, here's what I'll do. I'm on 30 milligrams now. I'll break these in half and I'll take them 22.5 and I'll just start lowering down. So that's what I did. People say 45 milligrams of mirtazapine is extremely sedating. Jeez, he's really going for it out there. Don't know if you can hear him as well as I can, even though I've got these on. Noise cancelling my ears. But anyway, lots of people say 45 milligrams is very sedating, and I've already feel very sedated, and my quality of life is not good right now. Simple tasks like going shopping, I haven't been able to get into the shops very often because I just haven't the energy. Never even mind the anxiety. I just can't summon the energy to go in and do it. What are they doing to that poor dog out there? So yeah, it's something that worries me. And if I just carry on listening to the doctors, they'll just keep prescribing drugs. I don't agree with a lot of what my dad says, but I agree with him on this. Don't listen to the doctors and don't trust them because they will just keep upping the dose. And it seems to be the way. It seems like they just care about upping the drugs. Oh, Jesus, that noise. Can't hear myself think. They're torturing the poor dog. Sometimes they sing to my mum and my brother, and poor Alfie goes insane. Is he done? He's done. He's got a lovely voice, but sometimes he just gives out. Funny little fella. Yeah. So following a recovery plan can help you greatly reduce the life-threatening. Geez, that's good to hear. Life-threatening withdrawal symptoms. You shouldn't use any other medications while tapering off Remeron. Don't use alcohol or any other drugs. Ask your doctor if you want to use any other medications during withdrawal. I start getting really bad migraines, so what I start doing was taking Solpadeine, which has codeine in it, and it's quite strong. And then I got really bad stomach cramps. Now, codeine is very effective, and Solpadeine is a very effective drug, but I was taking two of them, the soluble tablets, so the ones that dissolve in water. And I was taking two of them every day for about 2 weeks, and it fucked up my stomach. It's got paracetamol in it as well and caffeine, so I don't recommend you do that. It was only, I said I was watching Stu from Backcountry. Happy birthday again, Stu, but he was talking about taking Percocets because he was anxious about a flight to China. And instead of drinking alcohol, he thought buying the Percocets in the shop. He lives in Cyprus now. He called them something else. Like Percocets, their name I know anyway, so I'll just call them that. But he was saying how he had a bad reaction with them, and they're opioids. Codeine is an opioid; it's a strong one as well, and that's why they tell you not to take too much Solpadeine for too long. And I took it for too long. I was using it to help me because the intense, I can only describe it as like a tightness in my eyes. Anyone who's had migraines will know. My mom suffers greatly with migraines. She took tramadol for them before, even though it was prescribed for something else. Because she just had to sit down and she started getting very dizzy, and she gets them way worse than I do. But I have always gotten really bad headaches. And I've also got allergic rhinitis, so my sinuses tends to get very full up with phlegm and mucus, and it makes me feel heavy around the nostril area and around my ears as well, and a tightness kind of this general area. And if anyone's wondering why my face looks so shiny, it's because I've got loads of cream on for beard rash and just a dry nose. It's no skin off my nose. There's plenty of skin coming off. But yeah, I think that's good advice. I think that was a good site that I found there. But yeah, I'm never advising you to just stop cold turkey with any medication. I'm not a doctor, so I can't. But it hasn't worked for me. I've tried 4 different SSRIs. Might sound like a broken record, but I want to keep you guys educated because a lot of doctors are not going to do this. I've many times had side effects of these drugs, and a doctor has said to me, "No, no, it's not related at all." And like, it definitely is, but they're just not listening to you. They've got their mind made up. They're arrogant. They're never wrong, and you're wasting your time with them. So I spoke to a doctor before, a GP that I've known since I was yay high to a grasshopper. He's known me all my life. And when I said, do these drugs affect testosterone? He said, that has absolutely no effect on testosterone whatsoever. That's bullshit. That's a lie. I found several research papers that say that SSRI medications do have a varied effect on testosterone. And some say, yeah, some people might notice no effect, but some patients notice really serious impacts on their testosterone. It's all interacting with hormones, and hormones are powerful things. So don't lie to me. I don't think people reckon you're going to go and do your own research. I'm very interested in all this stuff. My mom is as well. She likes to look stuff up, and it's good to be inquisitive. Don't just take their word for it. And I think, yeah, it might sound arrogant to say those doctors know nothing. I wouldn't say that. I would say they know perfectly well, and they're just trained not to tell you the truth because you can't handle the truth, as Jack Nicholson would say. But I know it's not as bad in Ireland as it is in America, but there are financial incentives to prescribe these drugs, everywhere. I would say to some degree there's an incentive for doctors to prescribe antidepressants. What I think should have happened was you could see that I'm drinking. Doctors should have said to me, here are AA groups in your local area or support groups. Down here in Wexford, it's been quite good in that regard, in fairness. While the doctors haven't been great, one ignorant prick who was really much, he's asking me, do you want to kill yourself right down, really pressuring me into it. And then I caught him before on his phone at an appointment, and I said to him, ironically, I was like, sorry, am I wasting your time? Do you need to take a call or something? And then he was like, oh, no, no, no. I got the impression that he was surprised that I noticed. And I'm there wondering, does he do this to everyone? Because my brother went to see the same fella, and I know client patient confidentiality or whatever, but he said he did the same thing. And my brother reported him, and I was like, "Good on you," because when he described the fellow, I was like, "Oh yeah, I had him as well." And he said, "I want to report him." I was like, "I think you should." He was bad with me, and he was obviously bad with you. You're dealing with very vulnerable people, and shame on you if you can't even be arsed to give them the time of day in the short time that you have with them to actually hear them out and to see what's wrong with them. And the worst thing you can say to someone who is really low in self confidence and feels suicidal is to say, "Do you want to kill yourself now? Now?" Like staring at you. Because then instantly I get fear of I'm going to be taken away from my family, I'm going to be locked up and in a loony bin. And so I say no. And that's not the truth sometimes, Or the same GP that told me that these drugs have no impact on testosterone also said to me, if you made a plan to kill yourself, I'll have to hospitalize you now. And you start kind of really getting serious. So I was like, oh, no, 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 I haven't. Whereas in actual fact, I had. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, it's a long road to recovery. I hope that the one thing I can bring from these videos is to educate you guys on what's happened to me. Share your stories, keep sharing them. I haven't been feeling great on these drugs. I want to get off them ASAP, but you've got to be patient, which is what I'm doing. Over 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, on 15 milligram of Mirtazapine, aka Remeron, and I'm nearly 8 months sober, which is definitely what you should do. So that's kind of what I think you should do: is get yourself off any psychoactive substances, drugs, etc. And I include alcohol greatly in that. There should be more of an emphasis on you quitting alcohol, cigarettes, nicotine, the whole shebang. Um, Not caffeine. You can keep caffeine. We need caffeine. Um, and as you say, yeah, get your diet in order. But if you're feeling like shit, allow yourself a fizzy drink or two or a bit of chocolate or whatever. You can't be giving up too much. And these drugs are going to make your cravings skyrocket. Cut down, but don't stop altogether. Um, and then maybe make a plan about how to give it up permanently once you are off the SSRIs. And when I say give up, I mean like fizzy drinks and unhealthy food, but one step at a time, guys. Feeling a bit dozy, so I'm more dozy than usual. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you are all well. Happy Sunday. Let me know how you're getting on. And yeah, if anyone has come over here from Bad Country, a very warm welcome to you all. And I hope we can continue a sober journey together. All right, guys. Slán go fóill. That's me out here.